Hi, I'm Emma Carter. I'm 19 years old, a sophomore at the University of California, Berkeley, majoring in psychology. I grew up in Sacramento, California, in a modest working class neighborhood. My parents, both public school teachers, instilled in me the values of education, perseverance, and community. I'm sharing my story because I believe that our experiences, especially the challenging ones, can serve as powerful lessons for others. The theme of my story is simple yet profound. Don't waste your life. It's a mantra that has guided me through some of the most difficult periods of my life, and I hope it resonates with you as well. BeliefNet early life and aspirations growing up. I was an inquisitive child, always asking questions and seeking to understand the world around me. My parents nurtured this curiosity, encouraging me to read widely and think critically. I was particularly fascinated by human behavior, which eventually led me to pursue psychology. In high school, I was an honor student, involved in various extracurricular activities, including the debate team and volunteer work at local shelters. I had a clear vision for my future: attend a prestigious university, earn a degree in psychology, and eventually become a clinical psychologist to help others navigate their mental health challenges. The onset of depression. However, during my senior year of high school, I began experiencing symptoms of depression. At first, I dismissed them as typical teenage mood swings, but over time, the feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and fatigue became overwhelming. I lost interest in activities I once enjoyed and started isolating myself from friends and family. Despite these struggles, I managed to maintain my grades and was accepted into UC Berkeley. I hoped that a change of environment would alleviate my depression, but the transition to college life only exacerbated my condition. The academic pressure, coupled with the challenges of living away from home, took a toll on my mental health. Seeking help, recognizing that I couldn't manage my depression alone, I decided to seek help. I visited the university's counseling center and began therapy sessions. Opening up about my feelings was difficult, but it was a crucial step toward recovery. Through therapy, I learned coping strategies and began to understand the underlying causes of my depression. DVids +1, Justin Buzzard +1. I also joined a support group for students dealing with mental health issues. Sharing my experiences with peers who understood my struggles provided a sense of community and belonging. It was comforting to know that I wasn't alone in my journey. Turning point one day, during a particularly challenging period, I came across a quote by Steve Jobs: "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." This quote resonated deeply with me and became a catalyst for change. I realized that I had been living according to others' expectations, neglecting my own needs and desires. Quote sanity +1. Time +1. I began to reevaluate my goals and priorities. I took a lighter course load to reduce stress and dedicated more time to self-care and activities that brought me joy, such as painting and hiking. I also started volunteering at a local mental health clinic, which reinforced my passion for psychology and helping others. Embracing life as I continued therapy and engaged in activities that nurtured my well-being, I noticed a significant improvement in my mental health. I felt more energized, focused, and optimistic about the future. I learned to set boundaries, prioritize my needs, and embrace life with a renewed sense of purpose. I also became an advocate for mental health awareness on campus, organizing workshops, and speaking at events to share my story and encourage others to seek help. It was empowering to use my experiences to make a positive impact in my community. As I settled into the rhythm of my new life, I found that each day held both promise and challenge. Balancing classes, therapy sessions, and my role as a mental health advocate at the campus clinic meant my schedule was fuller than ever, but I refused to let stress steal my days. I reminded myself daily of that Steve Jobs quote, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." Holding on to those words, I carved out moments for the things that fed my soul. Unexpected friendships. One late afternoon in October, I met Nicole Reyes in my cognitive psychology lecture. Nicole was from San Diego, majoring in neuroscience, and she had a quiet intensity that intrigued me. After class, she asked if she could join me for coffee. We spent the next hour talking about everything from family traditions to our favorite books. She loved Sylvia Plath. I confessed to a guilty pleasure for young adult fantasy novels. Before we knew it, the coffee shop dimmed its lights for closing. That conversation sparked a friendship that would become one of my anchors through the turbulence ahead. Nicole and I started collaborating on a peer-led workshop about mindfulness techniques. Together, we designed interactive exercises, guided breathing sessions in the quad, mindful eating meetups at the dining hall, and even a paint your feelings night in the student union. Watching my classmates pour acrylics onto canvas, hesitantly at first, then with surprising abandon, taught me that healing can be as simple as picking up a brush. A summer that changed everything, that spring semester flew by, and before I knew it, summer arrived. I secured an internship at Redwood Youth Counseling Center, a nonprofit in Oakland offering free services to underserved teens. My mornings were spent shadowing clinical psychologists as they led group therapy. My afternoons, I co-facilitated art and journaling workshops. One young client, Maya, was especially quiet. At first, she barely spoke. Then, in one session, she shared a poem she'd written about feeling invisible in her own life. Reading her words out loud, her voice trembling but determined, I saw a reflection of my own struggle to be heard. Helping her find the courage to tell her story ignited a fire in me. This work wasn't just a temporary passion, it was my calling. Setbacks and resilience. Of course, life wasn't a straight line upward. During junior year, I was 20 by then. The loss of a close family friend shook me to my core. Mr. Thompson, my high school debate coach and a father figure mentor, passed away suddenly. He had always believed in me, even when I doubted myself, and his absence left a void. I found myself slipping back into isolation, late nights scrolling through old photos on my phone, memories flooding me with both warmth and grief. It was Nicole who reached out. One chilly November evening, she knocked on my door with 2 steaming mugs of hot chocolate and a stack of board games. We didn't speak of Mr. Thompson at first. We simply laughed over ridiculous trivia questions and competitive rounds of Scrabble. Eventually, tears came, and I let myself fall apart. But that night also reminded me of the community I'd built. Allowing others to support me was not a sign of weakness. It was, in fact, the strongest thing I could do. Turning pain into purpose. With renewed resolve, I organized Light the Night, a campus vigil and fundraiser in Mr. Thompson's memory. We sold luminary candles, each carrying a handwritten note of hope. Hundreds of students and faculty turned out, standing beneath strings of fairy lights, sharing stories of how Mr. Thompson had inspired them. Together, we raised enough to endow a scholarship in his name for high school debaters from low-income backgrounds. That event crystallized something in me. Purpose. It wasn't enough to just survive my own struggles. I wanted to build spaces where others could find healing too. In the months that followed, senior year unfolded with its own rhythm of discovery and challenge. I settled into a familiar routine. Morning classes, afternoon research meetings, evenings spent drafting proposals or practicing mindfulness exercises on the rooftop terrace of our psychology building. I'd been invited to assist Dr. Maya Lewis, a renowned researcher in adolescent resilience. So each week I pored over data from our longitudinal study of at-risk teens. Coding survey responses by hand, I noticed patterns. Small acts of agency, speaking up in class, art making, confiding in a trusted friend, often marked the most significant shifts in a young person's outlook. It felt like uncovering hidden treasure in human behavior. At the same time, I balanced my role as president of the campus Mental Health Alliance. We expanded our Mindful Mondays series to include peer-to-peer mentorship, pairing upperclassmen who'd navigated similar struggles with incoming freshmen. Watching two strangers become fast friends over a simple breathing exercise reminded me why I'd chosen this path. Healing is contagious, and compassion can be taught. Then came the Psychology Undergraduate Symposium in March. I stood before a packed lecture hall, heart-hammering as Dr. Lewis introduced me. Please welcome Emma Carter, whose work highlights the power of small choices in building resilience. For the next 15 minutes, I spoke about Maya's poem, the shift I'd observed when she first shared her voice, and the broader implications for early intervention programs. As I clicked through my slides, graphs showing decreased depression scores, quotes from participants describing renewed hope, I felt a surge of purpose. When the audience erupted in applause, Dr. Lewis whispered, "You're going to change this field, Emma." In that moment, every late-night data session, every vulnerable therapy disclosure, every candle lit at the vigil seemed to converge into a single truth. None of my time had been wasted. After the symposium, I received an offer to co-author a paper with Dr. Lewis and present at next year's American Psychological Association conference in Boston. My parents flew in for the symposium weekend. Afterward, we sat on a picnic blanket on Sproul Plaza, sharing sandwiches and memories of my first shaky steps toward college. My mom squeezed my hand. "You've turned your struggles into something meaningful," she said. My dad nodded, his eyes misty. "You never wasted a single moment, Emma." Spring gave way to an urgent flurry of thesis writing, internship applications, and preparations for graduation. Yet amid the frenzy, I made time for ordinary joys. Afternoon hikes in Tilden Regional Park with Nicole, impromptu midnight dance parties in the dorm lounge, and lazy Sunday mornings spent curled up with my sketchbook, letting watercolors capture whatever emotion bubbled up that week. On May 15th, 2025, I donned my cap and gown, the campus awash in sunshine and excitement. As I processed across the stage, shaking the dean's hand, the faces of every friend, mentor, and client I'd encountered flashed before me. That day, I wasn't just receiving a diploma. I felt I was celebrating every step I'd taken to honor my own life, and to help others honor theirs. Here are some deep, practical tips and tricks that align with the core of this story. These tips will help you reflect on your life and make more meaningful choices every day. 1. Know yourself deeply. Explanation. Most people waste their lives not because they want to, but because they never take the time to understand who they are. Emma's story shows that self-reflection was a turning point. She paused, looked at her mental health, her goals, and her pain, and then made conscious decisions. How to apply. Spend quiet time daily, even 10 minutes, journaling or meditating. Ask yourself questions like, what am I passionate about? What do I want to be remembered for? What gives me peace versus what drains me? Use tools like personality tests, MBTI, Enneagram, but always reflect beyond the labels. Tip: keep a self-awareness journal. Note your reactions, moods, and decisions to recognize patterns in your behavior and thinking. 2. Use pain as fuel, not a roadblock explanation. Emma struggled with depression. Instead of letting it trap her in victimhood, she used it to understand others and help them heal. Pain can push us toward purpose if we don't ignore it. How to apply? Reflect on past painful moments. What did they teach you? Volunteer or work in areas where you can use that experience to support others. Channel emotions into something creative: writing, art, advocacy. Tip: write your pain to purpose timeline. List key hard moments and note one way they shaped your strengths. 3. Time is non-renewable. Guard it. Explanation: time is the most valuable asset. Emma learned to balance work, rest, and purpose. If you spend years waiting, comparing, or doubting, you risk losing your most powerful resource: your now. How to apply? Use a calendar and prioritize tasks that align with your long-term goals. Limit distractions: social media, binge watching, toxic people. Learn to say no to things that don't matter. Tip: try the ideal day exercise. Write down what your perfect productive day would look like. Then slowly start aligning your current days to that. 4. Surround yourself with people who reflect who you want to be. Explanation: Emma's friendship with Nicole changed her life. The right people don't waste your time. They multiply your courage, push you forward, and hold space for you to grow. How to apply? Audit your circle. Do your friends lift you or limit you? Make time for relationships that challenge and support your goals. Join communities or groups, online or local, aligned with your passions. Tip: unfollow or mute people on social media who make you feel less than. Curate your digital space to inspire you. 5. Serve others. Purpose grows in service. Explanation: Emma realized that helping others, through workshops, counseling, or even just listening, gave her purpose. When we serve others, life becomes bigger than just ourselves. How to apply? Volunteer for something small once a week: soup kitchen, school, online mentoring. Look for ways to help people in your current environment: classmate, neighbor, coworker. Share your own story. Someone may be silently going through the same thing. Tip: make a list. Who can I help this week? And act on it. 6. Create, don't just consume explanation. Many people spend their lives consuming, watching, scrolling, spectating. But real joy comes from creating something: a painting, a project, a business, a podcast, or a movement. How to apply? Choose one medium that speaks to you: writing, video, art, music, and express yourself weekly. Start something, even if it's not perfect. Just begin. Focus on contribution, not perfection. Tip: ask, what am I proud to have made this month? If the answer is nothing, start small this week. 7. Set purpose-driven goals. Explanation: living without direction leads to wasted years. Emma knew her why and set goals aligned with that. You don't need to know your 10-year plan, but short-term goals focused on your values create momentum. How to apply. Write SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Revisit your goals weekly and adjust based on your growth. Celebrate small wins. They build belief. Tip: break every big goal into micro goals. Write a book becomes write 200 words daily. 8. Don't fear failure, fear regret. Explanation: Emma faced moments where things didn't go smoothly. Death, depression, uncertainty. But she took action anyway. Waiting for perfect conditions is the biggest time waster. How to apply. Reframe failure. It's a result, not a definition of who you are. Take imperfect action. Start now. Learn on the way. Keep a list of lessons from every mistake. That becomes your personal growth playbook. Tip: ask yourself weekly, if I keep living like this, where will I be in 5 years? Adjust accordingly. 9. Live with intentional gratitude. Explanation: gratitude grounds us in the present moment, making us realize the blessings we already have. It brings peace and motivation. Emma honored every person and experience that helped shape her. How to apply. Keep a gratitude journal. Write 3 things every day you're thankful for. Send thank you notes or texts to people who've impacted you. Reflect weekly on how far you've come, not just how far you want to go. Tip: gratitude is not a feeling. It's a choice and a practice. Even on hard days, there's always something to be grateful for. 10. Your story matters. Live it boldly. Explanation: Emma chose to share her story, not just her victories, but her wounds. That takes courage, but your story can save someone else from giving up on theirs. How to apply. Be honest about your journey, first with yourself, then others. Don't hide your past. Use it to light the path for someone else. Speak, write, create, or share whenever you feel called to. It's not about being famous. It's about being authentic. Tip: ask, if someone read the story of my life today, what would they learn? If you don't like the answer, start changing the page. 11. Define success in your own terms. Explanation: so many people waste years chasing someone else's dream, status, fame, money, because they never stop to ask, what does success mean to me? Emma realized success wasn't just grades or a degree. It was healing, impact, and emotional growth. How to apply. Ask yourself, what kind of life would make me feel proud and fulfilled? List 5 things that matter most to you, e.g., freedom, kindness, creativity, peace, etc. Build your goals around those values. Tip: revisit your definition of success every 6 months. Your values grow as you do. 12. Focus on progress, not perfection. Explanation: perfectionism is a life killer. It creates fear, anxiety, and procrastination. Emma didn't start perfect. She just started. Real change comes from consistency, not perfection. How to apply. Choose done over perfect. Accept mistakes as signs of effort, not weakness. Celebrate small steps. Each one is part of your journey. Tip: set progress goals. Like, I'll study English for 20 minutes daily, rather than I'll become fluent next month. 13. Build routines that serve you. Explanation. Routines shape your life silently. A strong morning or evening routine can set the tone for your whole day. Emma created a schedule to balance classes, self-care, and helping others, and that gave her purpose. How to apply. Design a morning routine. Wake up, stretch, plan your day, short meditation. Design an evening routine. Review your day, disconnect from screens, journal. Keep your routine simple and flexible. Tip: start small. Even just 2 habits can change your life if done consistently. 14. Choose growth over comfort. Explanation. Comfort zones are sneaky. They feel safe but lead to stagnation. Emma had to step out, speak publicly, share her story, work on herself. Growth only happens when you stretch yourself. How to apply. Do one thing every week that scares you a little. Talk to a new person, try a new skill, post your writing. Reflect after. What did I learn from this? Don't fear awkward moments. They are signs you're growing. Tip: ask weekly. What am I avoiding right now because it feels uncomfortable? 15. Guard your mental diet. Explanation. Just like junk food ruins your health, mental junk, negative news, toxic people, gossip, can drain your energy. Emma healed when she changed what she consumed mentally and emotionally. How to apply. Limit time on social media. Choose what you watch and listen to. Read books, watch videos, or listen to podcasts that inspire and educate you. Unfollow or mute anything that fills your head with fear, comparison, or hopelessness. Tip: each day ask, did I feed my mind something meaningful today? 16. Master emotional intelligence. Explanation. Life is full of emotional ups and downs. Wasted life often happens because people don't know how to manage anger, sadness, fear, or failure. Emma faced emotional storms, but learned to ride them with grace. How to apply. When upset, pause and name the emotion. I feel angry because. Naming reduces its power. Learn healthy ways to release emotion. Writing, talking, exercising. Don't suppress emotions, but don't let them control you either. Tip: journal prompts like, what triggered me today? Why? Can build emotional insight over time. 17. Practice radical responsibility. Explanation. Blame, excuses, and waiting for someone else to fix things keeps you stuck. Emma stopped waiting for a perfect future and said, this is my life, and I will own it. How to apply. Accept where you are. Forgive the past. Take responsibility for the next step. Ask, what can I do to move forward? Let go of the victim mindset. You are not your circumstances. You are your choices. Tip: write. If I owned 100% of my life today, what would I do differently? 18. Declutter your physical and mental space. Explanation. Clutter creates confusion and fatigue. Emma cleaned her schedule, her space, and her relationships. It created space for focus, clarity, and calm. How to apply. Clean your room, workspace weekly. A clean space clears your mind. Declutter your to-do list. Focus on what truly matters. Say goodbye to relationships that are draining or manipulative. Tip: do a mental detox every weekend. Disconnect from screens, go for a walk, breathe, and just be. 19th, say yes to life, not just safety. Explanation: life is an adventure. Many people waste it by always choosing the safest option. Emma said yes to growth, even when she didn't feel ready. How to apply: be curious. Try new experiences, hobbies, travel, or social settings. Stop saying maybe later. Later becomes never. Live like life is short, because it is. Tip: ask yourself, if I had 1 year left, what would I regret not doing? 20. Love yourself enough to change explanation. Self-love isn't just bubble baths. It's doing the hard work of healing, forgiving, and growing. Emma loved herself enough to break cycles and become someone she was proud of. How to apply: be kind to yourself when you fail. Don't wait for someone to fix you. Do it out of love for your own future. Speak kindly to yourself. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm becoming. Tip: write one self-love affirmation daily. I am worthy of a life I love. 21. Break big goals into small steps. Explanation: sometimes the idea of achieving something huge can feel overwhelming. It's easy to get stuck in the thought, I'll never get there. But Emma learned that breaking her big dreams into tiny, manageable steps made everything feel more attainable. How to apply: take one large goal, e.g., starting your own business, finishing school, and break it into smaller actions. Focus on completing just the first step. Once that's done, move on to the next. Celebrate small wins to build momentum. Tip: use the 5-minute rule. If a task feels too big, commit to just working on it for 5 minutes. You'll often find that you want to continue beyond that. 22. Learn to say no explanation. Saying yes to everything can leave you drained, burnt out, and disconnected from your true goals. Emma realized she was saying yes to too many things that weren't serving her life vision. Learning to say no was liberating. How to apply: learn to say no to people and activities that don't align with your goals. It's okay to disappoint others sometimes. It's more important to take care of your well-being and future. Practice polite refusal techniques. You don't owe anyone an explanation beyond, I'm unable to commit to this at this time. Tip: start with no for the little things. A last-minute hangout or a meeting that doesn't serve your growth. 23. Surround yourself with positive influences. Explanation: you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Emma made a conscious decision to surround herself with people who inspired her, challenged her to grow, and pushed her to become the best version of herself. How to apply: evaluate your relationships. Who lifts you up? Who drags you down? Start seeking out new positive influences. Friends, mentors, and communities that align with your goals. Attend events, online forums, or workshops where you can meet like-minded people. Tip: find a role model or someone whose life you admire and learn from their journey. 24. Invest in yourself. Explanation: most people spend all their money on others or material things. Emma realized that her best investment was in her own skills, health, and happiness. How to apply. Dedicate time and money to learning new things that interest you. Courses, books, workshops. Invest in your mental and physical health. Exercise, therapy, meditation, and nutrition. Don't wait for someone to give you permission to grow. Take the first step yourself. Tip: allocate a specific portion of your budget for personal growth, even if it's just $10 a month to start. 25. Live with intention, not by default explanation. So often, people drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of designing the life they want. Emma learned to live with intention, each day, each decision, with purpose. How to apply. Every morning, take 5 minutes to set an intention for the day. How do you want to feel? What do you want to accomplish? Create a vision board or journal that reminds you daily of your life's purpose. Make intentional choices about where you spend your time and energy. Tip: every decision you make should reflect your life's bigger vision. Ask, is this helping me get closer to my goals? 26. Turn failure into fuel explanation. Everyone faces failure, but how you handle it determines your future. Emma embraced failure as part of the process, learning from mistakes rather than being defeated by them. How to apply. When you fail, reflect. What can I learn from this? Look for patterns. Is there something you could do differently next time? Understand that failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Tip: create a failure journal. After each setback, write down what went wrong and how you can turn it into a lesson for the future. 27th. Let go of the past explanation. Many people waste their lives looking backward, clinging to past mistakes, regrets, or past relationships. Emma had to learn to forgive herself and others and focus only on what she could do now. How to apply. Write a letter to yourself or someone from your past, forgiving and releasing the weight of that chapter. Let go of guilt or shame that's holding you back. Practice mindfulness to stay present. Focus on what you can control today, not the past. Tip: write down one thing you're holding on to from your past and take concrete steps to release it. 28th. Be willing to evolve. Explanation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that change is something that happens only in special circumstances. But in reality, life demands constant evolution. Emma learned that evolving was the key to not wasting her life. How to apply. Embrace the idea that who you are today might not be who you are tomorrow. Challenge your own beliefs, thoughts, and habits regularly. Understand that each stage of life brings new lessons and growth. Tip: once a month, check in with yourself. What has changed about me this month? Look for ways you've grown. 29th. Live for meaning, not approval, explanation. So often, people waste their lives trying to please others or fit into society's boxes. Emma found peace when she realized that her true worth wasn't defined by anyone else's opinions, but her own sense of meaning. How to apply? Create a life that is meaningful to you, not one that meets others' expectations. Let go of the need for constant approval or validation. Focus on how you can add value to the world, not on how people perceive you. Tip: next time you make a choice, ask, am I doing this because it matters to me or because I want others to approve. 30. Embrace the journey, not just the destination explanation. It's easy to get obsessed with the end goal: graduating, getting a job, buying a house. But the truth is, the journey is where life happens. Emma started enjoying every little moment and seeing growth in the day to day. How to apply. Focus on the present moment. What's one thing you can enjoy today that will make you smile? Celebrate progress along the way, not just the big wins. Practice gratitude every day for where you are now. Tip: instead of saying, "I can't wait to be done with this," say, "What can I enjoy about this experience right now?" Life-changing action plan. Now that you've absorbed Emma's journey and the powerful tips to live intentionally, it's time for you to create your own action plan. Start with these 3 simple steps. Identify one area to improve. Choose one thing you've been procrastinating on or avoiding: health, education, relationships. Make it your focus this week. Set micro goals. Break this area into small, actionable steps. Start with just 10 minutes of action each day. Reflect and adjust. At the end of the week, assess your progress. Celebrate what went well and refine what didn't work.